It's the run to the line. Workman's off the track. He's got all 4 Michelins over the white line. He's defending.
Everything interesting happens off the racing line.
Welcome to Off the Racing Line. I am your host, Carlos Espitia, and with me, as always, is Mike Moore. Mike, welcome back.
Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure to be here.
Mike, we have a packed episode today. Episode 9, man. Like every episode, I can't believe we actually made it this far.
Almost double digits.
Holy cow. Okay, first things first, we need a new slogan. We can't use Grassroots Motorsports because it's a trademark name.
Oh.
Grassroots Motorsports Magazine, right?
Does that mean in between the last episode and this episode, we got a phone call from
No.
a lawyer? Oh, okay.
No, but it dawned on me. I was like, that sounds strangely familiar. And of course, I used to get the magazine, Grassroots Motorsports Magazine. So I figured our friends over there wouldn't appreciate, us using that. So we're back to square one. I'm thinking something like where drivers share their stories, or the Drivers Podcast, something like that. So I'm going to open it up to you guys and also the audience. If anybody has some good ideas, just, send them in.
Any and all ideas and submissions are welcome.
Yeah. It's the People's Podcast. It's the Drivers Podcast.
There you go. We're getting there. Yeah.
Hey, I spoke to Weston Workman today.
Weston Workman.
Yes,
there you
that
go.
was exciting. So for those that don't know, the introduction to the episode is a short clip from an IMSA MX5 Cup race at Sebring 2024. It was the second race, and Weston was leading by that point, and it was essentially just elbows out. He was completely off the racing line. He was defending. And to be honest with you, it kind of inspired the title of the podcast, Off the Racing Line. Like, he was completely off the racing line. So I reached out to him, and I was like, hey, man, like, you're at the beginning of every episode. It's only fitting that you would be a guest. And he was just like, yes, I'll do it. Like, he was so excited. Really, a lot of great energy with that young man.
An incredibly talented driver.
Yes.
Yeah, it'd be great to have him on the show.
Yes. We started diving into what was going through his mind as he was approaching turn 17. If anybody has not watched that, go look at it on YouTube. Race number 2, 2024, IMSA MX5 Cup at Sebring. Holy cow. Watch the last 2 laps. Incredible racing by Weston. And I was like, Weston, I have so many questions about that, but don't tell me yet, because let's save it for the show. He wants to be on. Right now, we're just working out the details on when he might be able to come in. So excited about that. I ordered 2 sets of American Eagle jeans. I figured I might as well order them now before they sell out, right? I figure Sydney Sweeney was an inspiration to that decision.
Perfect.
I'm not gonna lie. We're going to be testing a new format.
Okay.
Next week, we're going to be recording live from Homestead Speedway at the FARA event.
Fantastic. Live on location.
Yes.
Boy, we're really branching out there.
I'm excited and nervous about it. We haven't done anything like that, but it's only fitting, right? Like, the studio is great. Podcast Junkies, they do an amazing job of putting this thing together. But filming on location, I think it's fitting.
Yeah, for sure. No, it'd be absolutely phenomenal. Yeah, I look forward to that.
Absolutely. All right, let's get into it. Today's episode is brought to you by Velocity Track Experience.
Want to drive on a real racetrack but don't have a car? Velocity Track Experience offers track-ready car rentals for HPDE and racing. Whether you're flying in from out of state, out of the country, or you want full track support without worrying about prep, maintenance, or transport, this is your arrive and drive solution. From an agile Mazda MX-5 to a fully prepped BMW race car, Velocity provides everything you need to hit the track with confidence, including expert support and optional coaching. Just book your favorite track car, show up, and drive. Go to velocitytrackexperience.com and start your track adventure today.
All right, let's get into it. Our guest today has more years in motorsports than most of us have on this planet.
Well, you could have started a little softer than that. No, my God.
There's a point to that. There's a point why I did that. Anyways, he's been tearing up tarmac since before many of you were born. I'm going to keep hammering that point.
Right. I'm sure he's having a great time so far.
Starting with slalom events in Panama, back when it wasn't even called Autocross yet. At 72 years young, he has yet to slow down. He's still hunting 10ths in his F80 M3, chasing Mike Moore through corners in FARA Super Lap Series and showing younger drivers how it's really done, both behind the wheel and from the passenger seat. He's a 2-time national autocross champion, a licensed FIA racer, a senior instructor, and when he's not putting down lap times, he's driving the pace car for FARA and other racing organizations. This man's been off the racing line since before it was cool. David Schnoerr, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Carlos. Thank you very much. What an intro. What could I ask for?
I'm just thrilled that somebody got to refer to me as younger. This is great. Dave may be my new favorite guest.
Young
after
Mike
Jen.
Moore.
Right, yes, exactly.
Exactly.
As I was putting together this episode, I started getting more and more excited about it because you bring so much experience to the table. I didn't, honestly, to be honest with you, like we've known each other for close to 2 decades now.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize how much of a legend you are in this sport. Because we're gonna get into it, and we talked a little bit about how you got started in motorsports in your days in Panama. But it's the more I listened to your story, it was just fantastic, and I want to be able to share that with our listeners. So let's jump into some of the story that you shared with me. Your time in Panama when it wasn't called Autocross yet; it was slalom. Tell me how you got started.
Well, like most people, my father was very interested in motorsports. So it was kind of natural that my brother and I, who's a year younger, would be involved in everything that was motorsport. We started out going to the events. We were the little kids that showed up with mom and dad at the local slalom event, which was held at, back then, Sundays at a movie theater parking lot. Today, you can't use a movie theater parking lot for a slalom. But back then, the shopping malls were closed on the weekends, and we had plenty of spaces to do that. So, that's how it kind of got started, is dad. And then when I got a driver's license, he was excited as anybody else to, hey, let's get some motor vehicles here and start driving. And so we started out with some really basic cars. The first one that we really did a competitive thing was a Honda S800, which is kind of like a Mini Cooper or an Austin Healey Sprite, but a little smaller. So it's a little more roomy, Mike, than,
I was going to say, I'm surprised that you fit in that.
It's roomier than it was back then. Of course, when you're thinner, and younger, it's easier to get in and out. But so we did this Honda S800 for many years, autocrossed it, road raced it, got an FIA license, all in Panama. And Panama now has a very professional racetrack that they have. But back then it was a little 8-mile dragway with some turns that connected the ends together. It was a lot of fun. So that was like the intro to the motorsport. Okay. And that took us, until kind of like we went to college and stuff. It took up a lot of space and time to do that.
So tell me a little bit of the difference, the cultural differences between doing that, the autocross in Panama, and then once you started doing it competitively in the U.S.
Interesting question, because there the car sizes are totally different. I mean, a 1300 Alfa Romeo sedan was like the hot ticket. There were several other Honda S800s back then. Most everything was very small displacement, because gasoline even back then was $1 a quart. So can you imagine? It was very expensive to even do stuff like this.
Right.
So the culture was a little different. I mean, obviously we did everything pretty much in Spanish, and I was still in the midst of being culturally impacted by having a different language and culture in my life to begin with.
Do you speak Spanish still?
I do. I speak Spanish. It's mostly because when you're a young person and you move out of the country and you're with all your high school friends, you have to learn the language, or you get the crap beat out of you at lunchtime. You know what I mean? So it was pretty easy to learn the language.
Because you're that gringo that doesn't know Spanish.
Yeah, exactly. And they said, well, maybe you ought to change your hair color or something, but that never happened.
Let's talk about the autocross to national championships. You tell me about your training, the techniques, the mindset at that level, and how you essentially arrived at 15 podiums and 2 national titles.
What I guess what's most interesting today, and Mike uses a lot of technology on the track. Technology wasn't such a big deal back then, but my first experiences with technology were with this device called a G-Analyst. And if you can imagine, it's kind of like having a plate on the front of your car with a ball in it. And your goal was to make the ball stay on the outside of the plate rather than moving back and forth on the plate.
That's like the G meter in the Garmin,
Right.
but just analog.
Fred
Yeah.
Flintstone version. Analog was a very
exactly.
polite way
Fred
of putting
Flintstone.
it. The analog
Well,
version of it.
I'm old, bud. Come on. So this thing sat on the floor of your car, and you calibrated it with the car steady, and that's what happened. And so we would see a graph with just the friction circle,
Right.
and the friction circle is what was used to hone your skills. And I did that, through various cars and maturing. But when I got my first real car, which is a 86 944 turbo, that was a really key element to my learning how to handle the car, get a sense of weight balancing, what was happening when I stepped on the gas and the brake. So,
This is something that you would go back and look at after the competition, not while, right?
Correct. It would give you a little screen that you could hit the button, and it was kind of like recorded on there, so you could see how close you were staying to the friction circle.
This makes a lot more sense why you're such a good driver, to be perfectly honest with you. Like so many people, they just get out there and they just kind of like winging it. It really makes a lot more sense now why you are still so highly competitive.
I'll bet I used that thing for 2 years. I still have it. It's in a box in my closet because the thing was so useful to me. And today, I don't use any Garmin or anything. I use a GoPro to protect myself from any challenges, mostly. But seat of the pants, understanding how weight balancing and how to utilize the whole friction circle was really the key for me in becoming competitive.
Yeah. Okay, so tell me what separates a good autocross driver from a great one.
Well, that's another great question because autocross is kind of a skill set by itself. It translates to road racing or track days pretty well. It doesn't really work very well the other way, though. So if you do a lot of DEs and track days and you say, hey, I'm going to go out there and really knock some heads with my autocross skills, you'll probably learn a few things on the way. So that it is a unique set of skills in an autocross that road racers or people that do a lot of track days will never really experience.
Yeah, I myself have never gone to an autocross. It never interests me. It never did anything to me. So I'm sure that it does not surprise me to learn that it is a different skill set. Like when a lot of times when you're sitting in the right seat instructing somebody that only has autocross experience, you can tell because their hands are so fast, and that just doesn't work at 130 miles an hour. What works at 27 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can imagine when the corners come up in an autocross, they're one after the other. So another skill that's really, really important is visualization. I think it's a key, and it can be used very well on the racetrack as well. Visualization is not memorization. I think a lot of people memorize racetracks and autocross courses when all they need to do is visualize it. That means you should be able to walk around on the ground and basically do all the turns and turn-ins and where the cones are in a small space so that in your brain you already have it set up so that when you get there, there's no surprises.
One of the things that we always talk about in track days and in racing is looking ahead, looking as far ahead as possible. I imagine that's still the case in autocross, right?
Except you're looking all the way to the finish because it's only a minute in most cases. So a minute, can you imagine if you were on the racetrack and you did the whole thing in a minute? I mean, things would come up so fast. And that's what happens is that you mentioned steering wheel, brakes, pedals, car movement, how the car responds and reacts is all happening very much quicker. You feel like you're really busy. Mm-hmm. Is it something to watch? Not so much. People go to autocrosses and they say, well, I'm going to go to the autocross and, I'm going to spectate. it's a pretty boring thing to see cars going through a parking lot.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, even track days, just HPDE, like it's not going to draw a crowd like racing is.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true.
Let's talk about moving from autocross to road racing. What inspired you to get the FIA license, and tell me a little bit about your racing experience.
Yeah, I think, most of us have a competitive spirit. And so when somebody puts another challenge in front of you, hey, you're a really good autocrosser. Have you ever done anything else? Well, you just challenged me. Yeah, I'm going to find out what else I can do with my car. And that's, I think, how you get to the next level, is that you're kind of challenged. And we do that kind of in our organization, too, at FARA, where we try to take people from HPDE, maybe instructor, maybe not, and take them once they get advanced enough to our, Super Lap series. And then the next thing is to graduate them through a racing school
Right.
into the racing series. And it's the same type of thing that happens even for an autocrosser. You're challenged, you want to go to HPDE, you try a couple of track days, you find out, since you have autocross experience, a few laps, you kind of know where you're going and where you need to be on the course. And you can advance very quickly through the ranks, just like we do today.
Right.
So that kind of stayed the same.
So what was, I guess you talked about what inspired you to go racing, but tell me about your racing experience. Like where did you race, what series, and eventually what happened? You told me that you fell out of love with it, so you stopped racing.
Well, and I think that has a lot to do with how you feel about the racing, because a lot of things that I did on the track in 4 years of racing, every opportunity with PBOC, which was Porsche BMW Owners Club of
Right.
Florida at the time, where you and I spent time together.
Right.
I think a lot of times, that turned into something a little bit more. There were a lot of cars on course. It seemed like it was a super deal. I could win my class. And then at some point in time, after you win those challenges, you win a couple races, you start getting, you have an older car now. It's been beat on the track a few times. You just have thoughts like, maybe I should be watching what I'm doing, guarding what I'm doing, because many times I can tell you I came down 10 into 11 at Homestead a couple times, only to see a car sideways in front of me.
Right.
And you wonder, do I have a premonition or what? Because for some reason at the last minute, that car got out of my way, one way or the other, in the grass, or
Right.
maybe you've experienced. It's hard to see this really at a HPDE, but those skills that you learn, racecraft, is what you see in Todd and what you see in Weston. Those are skills that you learn that you don't get in HPDE or most track type events. And those are the things that I really enjoyed was the racecraft, and I thought it made me faster, because my time was always better on the race day,
Right.
in the race, than it was in qualifying. But you get to the point where that happens a few dozen times, and you're thinking again, maybe I have taken this to the limit,
Right.
and it's starting to bother me that it could be riskier than I want it to be at this point in my life.
I think that's where self-perseverance starts kicking in, right? And that's what you probably heard some of the episodes that I talked about when I started realizing that maybe instructing wasn't for me anymore. I think that signal in your head started kind of flashing, like, hey, maybe we should do something else.
Yeah, my brother was in a black early E30 M3 going into the hairpin, the old hairpin at Sebring, and the car, the guy went flying in there. He couldn't control the driver. It was upside down. My brother's upside down in the car. The guy's upside down in the car. I'm driving by as an instructor in another car.
Yeah.
Looking at my brother upside down
my
in the
gosh.
corner. They undid their seatbelts and everything and got out of the car. Everybody was fine, but they had to get the car right side up, and it makes you think about those things more and more. I think the instructor role, though, is really important. It's important because you want to give something back.
For sure. What a great way to give back to the hobby that we all love, and we all started with an instructor in the right seat. So it's great to give back to the community and help that next generation of of people. That light bulb goes off, and you're inspiring somebody, and then a lot of those people then 2, 3, 5 years later, they become instructors themselves, and it's just this sort of conveyor belt of keeping the hobby alive.
And I think, when I do the pace car duty, it's sort of giving back. I mean, I don't take any money or compensation or food or anything. I just do it for track time.
Right.
Because I want to contribute. And, we've all been in that case where we're maybe thinking, second guessing, should we be instructors? Should we be racers? But there's some point in time where, and I've done flagging. At Homestead, I've volunteered to be a flagger at a corner station. Those are all good, fun things to do. And we should all try to give back as much as we can, I think. And after years of being in the sport, now I think more about giving back. And that's why I'm a part of the senior instructor status with Mike, is that I want to give back.
Yeah, and we love it.
So we're going to talk a little bit we're going to dive into the details of you driving the pace car for FARA, and a little bit of also how you volunteer to mentor new instructors for FARA's instructor training school. We're going to get into that in a minute. I want to stay on the progression, your progression in motorsports. You and I met back around 2008. How has the culture around track days changed in, let's say, those 2 decades? Have you noticed a shift in the perception or even the drivers?
I have. I think, it was very much I don't know if this is the word to use, an amateur type of thing, or, less experienced people. Cars were slower.
Yeah.
And then now we're at the point where you have to go to a track day in order to even utilize your car. I have a, 450 horsepower BMW that what am I supposed to do with that car down A1A? You know what I mean? I have to go somewhere with it.
So the cars have changed a lot.
Considerably.
Naturally.
Considerably.
But how about the people? Do you see a culture change?
Just that I think a lot of young people think they're going to go on the track and immediately be successful. And I don't know what their idea of success is. Sometimes, I was just happy to have a day when I went home with the same car in the same condition.
That is what we say in every driver's meeting, right? Right?
Yeah.
We when we're talking to the beginners, that your number one goal should be to get home with both you and your car in the same condition that it arrived in. Number 2, be safe and have fun. Right?
Yeah, I think those are the highest priorities. Now, I mean, everybody wants to. I hear we used to not allow timing at track days. So they have prohibited it and maybe you remember some of the PCA events. They didn't let you time anything.
Right, even yourself, they wouldn't let you use like a Garmin or
nothing, because they didn't want you to go out there and brag about your time. They wanted you to learn the track, be safe, know where the corner workers were, and get off and on the track successfully and go home in your own car.
Yeah. Now those devices are so prolific, like the Garmin. You get into a novice, driver, and chances are they're going to have a Garmin, already installed in their car. How do you deal with that as an instructor? Do you just gently say, "Hey, let's turn that off"?
No, actually, I love it. Fortunately, the Garmin has, they're really smart about stuff. I absolutely love the device. It helps so much because when you get out of the car, you can actually review in near real time.
Right.
Hey, remember when I was saying to, track out after 1, see where your car is? Okay, see all that room over there on your right-hand side, right? You're leaving like 8 feet over there. We need to use the whole track. But the reason that I don't object to it at all is because fortunately the people at Garmin are smart, and there is a option that you can turn the screen off while you're in the car. So if I ever have a student that is like, you see him looking out of the corner of their eye to see what kind of lap time they're running, very simple. You just shut it off. It continues to collect all the data, collect all the video, but the screen is completely blank when you're in the car.
Yeah, that makes sense. One of, knowing you for so long, and again, as I was preparing for the show, I was looking through some of the older pictures, and it's a really great memory that I have with you. I started doing HPDE events with PBOC. My first track day was at Sebring in a E46 330. After doing a few events with that car, I realized it was an automatic too. I realized, you know what, this car is I couldn't force it. It wasn't a manual because it was automatic, so it just wasn't staying in the gear. It just wasn't ready for the track. So I went out and bought an E46 M3. As soon as I bought that, took it straight to Sebring. You were my instructor that first time that I brought that car. It was a black E46 M3. You were my instructor then. This is 2008. Fast forward 3 years later at Winterfest, and you and I are chasing each other. And it was
Nose to tail.
Yes, that was a really fun experience. And for the record, you were on street tires. I was on slicks. It's the only reason I was keeping pace with you. But it made me feel good knowing that, okay, now I'm chasing my old instructor. You know, like I'm right there.
It was. And we probably did, I would say 6 laps, nose to tail.
Yeah.
I was out first, so you were behind me, but dogging me the whole time. And I could see that I gained a little bit out of the corners, so I could breathe a little bit before he got to the next corner, because he was on slicks and he was faster in the corners.
Yeah, the braking zones is where I was
really
gaining,
serious ground. So, you know, and we had both worked really hard on those cars. I think the E46 took a lot more effort than even my F80 to get prepared for the track.
Right.
So, you know, but you were fast. And as soon as you started dogging me enough, I said, well, I got to let Carlos by because I want to follow him for a while and see what he's doing. And you were spot on. All the lines were good. Unfortunately, that was the end of the session, but, you know, we had a great time.
That was a lot of fun.
That's what keeps HPDE and instructing all there, is the camaraderie that you have between, well, I'm a competitor of yours, and, you know, we are on track together many times at the same time, watching one another. My favorite is me and Carlos on the oval at Homestead. Because Carlos comes to the oval between 3 and 4 for the first time. And he's so timid. He's trying to figure out, do I go high, low? Am I on the banking? Am I not? Where do I go? And I'd been around there in the pace car a lot of times. I kind of knew where I wanted to be. And I went right around, you know, you gave me a point by probably.
I saw you coming.
Turn
I was like,
3, you know, like,
I'm going to follow you.
I'm out of here.
He just flew past me. I'm like, okay, I guess we can go faster through here.
It's an unnerving. I remember the first time I drove the oval there, and I hated every minute of it. I
didn't like it.
Did not like it at all. Now at the time I was in a Golf R, so the body roll and the weight being so high in that car did not help the situation. But even when we did it just a couple of months ago in the Cayman, it's just not a sensation that I enjoy. And mad props to any of the pro drivers. It gives you a whole new experience for, you know, whether it's NASCAR driving, you know, Daytona or Talladega, the IMSA guys that run there, the Indy guys at, you know, that go around the Indianapolis 500 flat they enter those corners at 238 miles an hour. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
I noticed that your strategy was to stay sort of low on the track and go around.
So I only did 2 laps that time. I did the first one. I ran high the entire way around. And when I was the second lap, when I was coming into turn 3, I was like a quarter of a second behind where I was at that point the lap prior. So I thought, all right, well, let me go low here and see what happens. I went low, and it was about 0.3 of a second slower that way. So I just thought, all right, I'm just going to run the high line.
Yeah. And a lot of people say they want to run the high line because if something happens, there's a wall there, they can just slide along the wall. And
I mean, the impact would be less, I guess, if you only had 5 feet between you and what you were hitting versus like 30 feet.
That's logical.
Yeah.
I'd rather not hit anything.
Correct.
Let's talk a little bit about you driving the pace car with FARA. What is that like? I know you said you had some interesting stories.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear those.
Yeah, Geraldo, as you know, is the guy that's a race director. Yeah, and he's an interesting guy. He is in my ear, or I don't use earphones because I got to hear a lot of things.
Yeah, you got a radio.
I got a radio, and I'm keying the radio and driving, and I'm mostly, thank heavens, in a DCT. I'm in the automatic mode, so I can still get around the corners without too much effort. But he's coaching me the whole time. We're going to do 3 and 4, and then you're going to come in the pits, and then they're going to start the race. You got to maintain so much speed. We'd like you to speed it up, slow it down on track. The interesting times comes when we deviate. So, and this can happen anywhere. I mean, this can happen at Sebring or at Homestead. I remember one of the deviations at Homestead, because we rarely use 1 and 2. There's something about those corners, I think, because they actually go uphill. They don't want us on that surface as much unless there's something that's really blocking the track. So he tells me at the last second, go high, go on 1 and 2.
NASCAR 1 and 2, the oval.
NASCAR 1 and 2. And I'm going between the pylons laid out to keep people from going on 1 and 2. But he tells me that. Good job. So I'm up on the banking in 1 and 2. The rest of the field is going through 1 and 2 like everybody else.
The infield.
The good thing is the cars that were kind of stuck are now rolling. So I come down and I go very low at 2, and I pick up the entire field perfectly going down the back straight. Now this is like almost like a coincidence, a chance, and I don't know if Geraldo has it organized that way or not. But I'm kind of panicky the whole time. Right. What's he telling me to do now?
Fascinating.
Oh, he's a master when it comes to orchestrating the whole thing.
Well, and there is a trust. I mean, obviously, when a guy's telling you on the radio to do something, you're kind of going, "Oh, yes, yeah." Right. And sometimes he says, "Did you understand me? Did you because you're busy." Wait, let me key the mic so the other one at Sebring was we had to go pick up the field, and I don't remember exactly what had happened, but I was at track out ready to pick up the field, and he told me that that people were thinking they were going to go into the pits. So he had me go backward down the straight at Sebring. I'm against the flow of the racetrack as fast as I can go. I did a U-turn, in a short order.
So you're coming out of
the
front straight?
The
front straight and
the front straight where one is. Yeah, underneath the tunnel. I go out on track and I just nail it as hard as I can. I go down and I make a quick U-turn. It wasn't a sliding one, but it was pretty darn tight because they wanted the field to see that I was on the track, not in the pits.
Gotcha.
So I went I have never been backward on a track. Unless I was spinning.
That had to be very unnerving.
It was. You just have to trust the guy like crazy.
Yeah. At least you had an eye in the sky. He knew
where the cars were, that they weren't already coming around 16 so you could get into trouble.
But even so, that's got going in the wrong direction at Sebring.
I'm just following instructions at that point.
Yeah.
Kind of blind.
Have you seen any crazy incidents from the rearview mirror in the pace car?
No.
Did anything crazy happen?
No, not really in the rearview mirror. I would say the craziest things is when some of the hot rods, people that aren't normally in the leads, they start passing me just to warm up their tires.
Okay.
And, of course, the pace car is not supposed to be that close to the competition vehicles, and that's what happens there. But most of the time, it can be really boring, too, Carlos, because, you're sitting at the night races. Remember those we did?
Yeah.
When was that?
The Enduros.
The Enduros at night. So, you start the field and the cars dwindle down over the Enduro period of time, and you're literally parked the entire time. You never move because no incidents happen where they want to pay a safety car out on course.
Well, I mean, nowadays, you have a smartphone. You can at least sit there and watch some YouTube videos or something. You know?
Well, you're paying attention, but if you have a radio, sometimes if there's a big enough break, you can get out of the car, stretch your legs, and get back in again. And there's corner workers there, obviously, so people are talking to you a little bit.
And the FARA does live streaming on most of the races, so I imagine you could probably just sit there and watch the race from your phone.
And, Sebring's really bad because I can't see anything. The wall is right there at pit out. But Homestead, you're looking at turn 1 and you can see the cars going through.
Talk to me a little bit about, and I don't want to keep harping on your age, but I want to drive the point home because you can still do this at a high level, and I think it's encouraging for, people that are either retiring or close to retiring. You can still do some pretty cool stuff. How does staying active in HPDE track days, how do you maintain that sharpness, to keep pace with Mike?
It's actually a bigger question because the big question is, I think if you're enthusiastic. I don't care if you're enthusiastic about puzzling or you're enthusiastic about your love life, but as long as you're enthusiastic about motor racing or your car hobby in any way, or motorcycling, whatever it is, those are the things that keep you young, involved. When a track day happens, I go early. I go to Sebring on Friday night.
Right.
I'm
I
there.
do too, but I'm not I'm much.
Mike's out there walking the course on Friday night.
He's a
I love that track walk. It's fantastic.
People learn a lot from it.
Right. Yeah. No. It's honestly, I learned so much. I had the pleasure of attending track walks with some incredibly talented professionals. So I think it's a great way to give back. The people that are doing it with me think that I know what I'm talking about, where all I'm doing is just regurgitating, what the Randy Probsts of the world have said. So yeah, no, I love it. It's a great experience.
So my track walk experience is kind of interesting because I've walked several tracks. Mm-hmm. The last one, I try to do a new track every year. This year I did Barber.
Right.
There was no opportunity because they have a jitney that goes around on the track. I did the Firm last year, and I did Coda the year before that.
We're going to go to the Firm later this year with FARA.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Did you like the Firm?
I did. They changed some of the tiny turns there, and
right.
there was a big curbing that we're going to not have to deal with. So I think it's improved on our side.
You've got me worried about our Super Lap series. That you've got some experience at a track that I've never been to before. I'm going to have to work extra hard that weekend.
Well, have you ever been to Coda? Because I got there after driving 500 miles on the last day.
Which, by the way, blows my mind. He drives his car to the racetrack, even Coda.
Right. Would you do that in your car?
No.
No. Yes. Right. Correct.
Homestead is
yeah. I
correct.
was going to say.
No way.
So we and I just drove to Barber, 12-hour days. 12 hours, 800 miles one way, and 800 miles, 12 hours back the other way. But and there's stories on that we have to talk about. But I went there after 500 miles. I got my bicycle out of the car. My brother's there with his E36 M3. So we're competing in a BMW CCA time trial. Uh-huh. And there's a big eclectic group of cars there. Teslas are in my class.
Right.
So we decide, okay, we're going to walk the course. So we start, I'm in my little bicycle, and I start pedaling out of the pit lane. I get about, I would say, a third of the way up that first hill into turn one, and I am out of gas.
Just turn around and coast
There
back.
is no way I'm going to pedal up that hill.
Yeah.
So I start walking and pushing my bike up, and I'm about now 2/3 up. Oh my goodness, how am I going to get? I've been
Barber.
This is at Coda.
Oh, Coda.
So I'm.
Yeah.
It's straight up. So I'm really struggling to get that little. What does the bike weigh? Not very much. But by the time I got to the top, it weighed 400 pounds. So and this is after driving all day, basically in the car to get there. So I had no idea how fatigued I was just sitting in the car and driving. But when you get to the top of the hill, you can coast quite a ways. So we coasted down, and thank heavens it was probably about 6 or 8 of us, and there was a pickup truck, a track truck, following us to make sure that we
Anybody
didn't do anything
falling
stupid,
behind. That too.
or fall or get hurt. So anyway, the guy, he watched me and he said, "Hey, would you want to get in the truck and I'll put your bike in the back?" And I said, "That sounds really good. I think I'll watch the rest of the track."
We did that at Sebring.
Yeah, you had to come and rescue us at turn 16 because it was dark out.
We did that at Sebring during
you?
Mike's track walk.
Wow.
And we were talking about it before, and he's like, it wouldn't be a bad idea if you were just kind of hanging out in your truck. And because it's going to be, we weren't sure what time it was going to end, but it's close to 4 miles. And so we ended up shortening it up a little bit, and people would just jump in the back of my truck, and then we would kind of shorten it up by them riding in the truck the long straights, basically.
Yeah. Good idea. It's probably still a good idea.
For sure.
And of course, we've had the track tours in our past where people just piled in cars and did that. And I know there's limitations from the track on that. But those are, track walks, I think, are really, really valuable. And there's no giving that up. I'm just really happy that you're doing it. And I'll from my hotel room, I'll be cheering you on.
So just wave as we walk by turn 7. Fortunately, one of our regular participants provides me with an adult beverage, so that helps me get around.
That's good. Let's talk about the Super Lap Series, FARA Super Lap Series. you're still competing at a very high level. And just to drive the point home, the last time that the three of us competed was last year at the Race of Champions with FARA in the SL2 class. And I got the results here. Just
Oh, boy.
because I want to emphasize just that this was not a walk in the park by any means. Mike Moore came in first with a minute 36.1. I came in with a minute 36.5, and you were just behind with a minute 37.6. And these are fast times for street cars. Now,
Well,
granted, hold on before you say anything.
Let the record show that only 2 of the 3 of us are driving street cars.
So to drive my point home, yes, my car is gutted. The M3's gutted. It's probably lost a good 300 pounds, maybe a little more from its factory, setting. You're out there in a 4,000-pound car, and you're just behind us. That's incredible to me. Like, you're still driving and competing at a high level.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would say of all of the people that drive SLS, I am constantly amazed by David. Like the first time that we went out there, I was just like, I think we had met once or twice, right? And I'm just like, all right, here's some old dude in a 4-door sedan and it's freaking orange. Like, all right, whatever. This is
BMW.
right, exactly. I'm just like, I knew that you were going to be tough competition, but I sort of didn't even think about
He wasn't
Dave.
in your radar.
Right, exactly. I was like, all right, it's going to come down to me and Carlos. And, we end the first session and, I take out the lap timer and I'm just like, holy cow, this guy's like 3/4 of a second behind me. How in the hell is this possible? So can absolutely wheel a car like very few people can.
Yeah.
So there was a survey here on this podcast, a survey of what are the cars that you thought were the slowest or the ones that didn't do very well.
Worst cars for the track.
Worst cars for the track.
Yeah.
And your choice was
Oh, it was like a Dodge Challenger
Mustang.
RT or so. Oh, yes, yes.
Mustang.
Yeah.
That was the worst driver.
That was the worst drivers, but
Okay.
yes, right.
Well, and then your guest, I can't remember who it is right
Trevor, probably.
now.
He talked about the
It's
American cars.
either Trevor or Jerry.
Jerry, I think.
It was Jerry.
The
So
Sedans.
Jerry
Sedan,
says
Sedans, big sedans.
big BMW sedan.
Shady
And I'm like,
BMW.
oh,
Right,
I'm
right,
going to,
right.
as soon as I get a chance, I'm going to talk to
Well, we
that
had a
guy.
little chat with Jerry.
There you go. The microphone's you. So, I'm also in amazement. The cool thing about last year, and I miss that season. The three of us just kept getting faster through the season. And as you got faster, I got faster, you got faster. Like, it wasn't a walk in the park.
No, it was great. We had a great time. I missed that competition.
Yeah.
Still have it with Dave, but since you had to chicken out and leave our group, things haven't been the same.
And Dave, you changed it up a little bit.
I did.
You got
I changed
bigger tires.
it up. I put 315s on the back and 285s on the front. I hope the heck they make a difference.
We're gonna find out soon.
It's
I'm a little
all
worried.
about the braking, unfortunately, and your car stops way better.
Well, yeah, but with that much extra rubber, you're bound to be able to go 5 foot deeper, maybe. And I mean, we're so close that there's not much between us. So if you can scrape even a half a second, the thing that I love about competing with you is I have to drive a really great lap. If I drive a good lap, I'm not going to win. And that's what I love sharing the track with you.
Well, it's very hard for me to accept not winning.
Yes. Right.
Well,
So-
you are a two-time champion, national champion.
It is very hard for me to
Can
accept
imagine.
not winning. Even the autocross that I did on Sunday, I was fifth. I was the fastest Porsche, but still. But I got to tell you that it's an honor to know you and see your driving and the skills you have, and go, well, Mike is good. So it's really a compliment that chief instructor, the tracks very well. You're doing a fantastic job, and it only makes sense that all of us can continue to get faster and faster.
Yeah.
Especially with some of the really neat things you're doing to your car.
What do you mean?
I mean, JRZ and this is stuff the rest of us may follow suit.
Well, I think the problem there is if you don't have the talent, you just have to throw money and parts to get faster. So that's the challenge with Carlos.
You got to do whatever you have to, right?
Yeah, and now
Throw money at the problem.
I don't know what the Corvettes are doing, but they're extremely
crashing.
fast.
That's what they're doing.
crashing. Oh,
Boy,
yeah.
poor, come on, man. Poor Ralphie.
We're friends with Rafi.
Yeah.
Rafi, we love you, buddy. Let's talk about how the sport keeps you young.
So, I think having enthusiasm when I get to the track, You know, I make a mental. I don't write anything down anymore after all these times of doing it. But I go through my mental checklist. I go through a mental checklist when I'm at the track. You know, what do I have to do? Make sure the tires are right, my belts are secure. I just use a lap belt, you know, as I showed Mike one time. So, you know, having all your stuff with you, the stuff you bring in case, making sure you're hydrated. We talk about that a lot. Those are those mental notes. Plus, you know, that's exciting. I have an agenda. I'm busy with it. And then I get to drive my car to the racetrack.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the things that we haven't really, you know, done a deep dive in, and I leave it for another show, but I do want to talk about it. And that's when you're driving out there, whether it's racing or just, you know, competing in the Super Lap Series or just doing high performance driving, you're only thinking about one thing, and that's driving.
You better be only thinking about one thing.
Yeah. There is no time or space in your mind to be thinking about, did I take the clothes out of the dryer? What's my wife doing? There is none of that. And I think that is mentally so therapeutic. I would imagine that's...
It's honestly like a vacation.
Yes.
It is. It's like a mini vacation. And I mean that in the most serious way. So if you have, you know, something planned, whether it's an autocross on a Sunday or a track weekend, you know, this is like you're from the time I leave the house and head up to Sebring on Friday, I am not thinking about work, issues at home, or anything. It's just clearly I'm focused on what I'm going to do in the future. What's the next move? What am I going to get ready for?
What would be some advice that you would give older drivers that are maybe thinking about getting into the sport? You know, maybe somebody that's close to retirement or anything like that. What would be your advice to them?
Well, I think there's something maybe Mike and I have touched on in the past, and that is people need to make sure they're healthy. We've had some situations where we had people that didn't feel well or they cut their days short. You know, Carlos, it goes for everyone. And we don't have any requirements like that. However, you get an FIA license or an SCCA license, you have to have an annual physical, and I don't even know what the requirements are anymore. But, you know, I go to the doctor twice a year. I make sure I get my annual physical. I'm checked out. I know my numbers are good. And everybody needs to do that. When an older person or somebody, you know, your age...
Wow, this was going so well until that moment. Yeah, but no, it's a good point, right? You need to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Right. This is not easy. But that being said, you know, to your question, if you've got somebody that, hey, they're celebrating their retirement, so they just went out and bought whatever their dream car was. You know, if you're going to come out there for one day, you're a beginner.
Yeah.
You're going to sort of drive around at 7/10. I mean, yes, obviously, still good to be in good physical condition, but you know, not as taxing as what we do when you're out there pushing 9/10. You know, that requires the cool shirts and that.
Well, and you know, physical condition and being healthy are, to me, a little bit different because I don't do any conditioning. My conditioning comes from motorcycle riding and, you know, my activity, sorry. And those are things that I want to make sure that people understand is that it's really about your general health.
Yeah.
The other thing about older people as they get into the sport is they have to have their mind open to learning.
Yes.
And that maybe is the other thing we've seen where, you know, the neurosurgeon buys his Z06 Corvette and, you know, he knows he's got a fast car and he's going to be driving it fast. And, you know, and sometimes that turns into be a problem.
Right. Especially if you've got an instructor that is a 22-year-old kid. You know, if you're a neurosurgeon, if you just retired and sold your tech company for $10 million and bought your dream car and come out there, you're probably not used to listening to 22-year-old kids. So that can become a problem.
Yeah. No, we've never had an issue like that.
Point.
No, never.
You don't have issues with prima donnas at the track.
Interesting point, though. I like that we have to think about how people are going to respond to their instructors. So sometimes we do have to match people up for other reasons other than, you know, we got an instructor handy.
Yep, absolutely, for sure.
All right. As always, we always run out of time, and I don't want to run out of time before doing our rapid fire questions.
Okay.
So let's get into that, and we have a little bit of time left afterwards. I got a few other questions that I want to jump into. We got 10 rapid fire questions. These should really take 5 minutes. But for some reason, like,
Are they a discussion group?
like they shouldn't be. Like, my goal now is for them to be like 5 minutes. If we can go through 10 questions in 5 minutes, like, I think that's the goal now.
We've gotten much better. I think it was like 20 minutes in episode 1. So the fact that we've cut it in half, we're much better at it now than we used. We're not going to be able to make fun of it soon because it actually is going to get to your goal.
No. So, rapid fire questions. Here we go. You ready?
Yes.
Okay, some of these aren't going to be applicable to you.
This is the second episode in a row that you're keeping me out of the rapid fire section.
I draft this to our guest. All right, here we go. More dangerous, turn 17 at Sebring or the average HPDE student in a GT3?
You're completely missing out on the rapid fire portion of the
Rapid fire.
Okay, the GT3.
Yeah?
Yeah, for sure. I love turn 17 at Sebring. I don't think there's anything to be afraid of if you know your way around
and
there.
I've seen crashes there from a safety car standpoint. So, people go right off.
17 is frightening. I've seen what happens when brakes fail.
Well, yes.
It's not.
Obviously.
You're going into that turn at 130, 140.
Well, and then the question always has that caveat. In a GT3, how many nannies does the guy have on? True. So, we probably should qualify that.
Well, and also, are they the average HPDE driver, which is...
Okay, we're already going way too far into this question. Let's go into it. Number 2, manual or PDK?
I'm a PDK guy.
PDK. I know your answer.
Manual for driving pleasure, PDK for lap time.
Smart answer. Number 3, autocross or HPDE? I know that's tough for you.
It's tough for me, but I would say HPDE wins out because the time on track is so different.
Oh, yeah.
And autocross, you're talking, I did 5 laps, and the time I got was less than 40 seconds each lap.
Yeah.
So how much time did I spend the whole day?
Right.
You're out there
working on your craft.
You haven't done autocross, so we'll skip that question for you. Okay, number 4, best M3 model.
Best M3. Well, I'd have to say, unfortunately for me, the E90 is probably the best M3 model. I love the F80. Mm-hmm. I think it offers a lot of things that you don't get in your car. And I'm always surprised that it works so well. However, my personal favorite was my Z4M Coupe.
Yeah, I remember that car.
Silver. I'm not a silver guy, but I did nothing to that car. I didn't even change the shocks. I put tires on it and did lap after lap after lap. No failures, no brake issues, nothing. It was a quite incredible thing.
All right, number 5, instructor seat or pace car seat?
Pace car seat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I like instructing, but the pace car seat is, you're kind of like tense the whole time, but you're in way more control. I mean,
that makes sense.
Except for the guy in the radio telling you, "Hey, this time go through NASCAR 1 and 2. Don't do what you
but
normally
at least
do."
I'm the guy with my hands on the wheel.
Yes, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, number 6. We're going to play the game Date, Marry, or Kill, but this is going to be the car edition. Okay, are you familiar with that game?
No, but I'll play along.
Okay, usually 3 characters. You choose one to date, one to marry, and one to kill. We're going to play that with the cars, though. Name 3 different car brands you would daily, track, and watch burn. Mike, I'll start with you because you've already seen these questions.
Yes. So track is going to be a boring answer. I'm obviously going with Porsche because that's all that's what I love to track.
Which one are you daily?
I am dailying I am dailying just because one of my friends just got one. It's phenomenal. So if you're going to daily something, it either needs to be an SUV or a wagon for, daily duty stuff. A friend of mine just got an E63 AMG wagon that is absolutely spectacular.
Fantastic. So you go with a Mercedes.
I'm going with that specific Mercedes for dailying. And
Which one are you burning?
I am burning the car that I drove here in, which is a Tesla. It is everything about it is awful. And honestly, because it's a Tesla, I figure there's a 7% chance it is actually on fire in the parking lot right now. And nothing would make me happier than if I left the studio and it was a smoldering pile of heap and metal.
Okay. Dave?
Well, I despise Miatas. I can't get in them. They're uncomfortable for me.
So is that the one you would burn?
I would burn a Miata.
Oh my God!
I would burn. I know I'm going to get a lot of
internet on fire.
Clip worthy right now.
Right.
Please tell me more.
you know, every time Mike says, "Hey, will you would do a check ride with this guy? He's got a Miata." I'm like, "Oh my God,
Burn it.
I'm going to have to figure out if I put my helmet on before I get in the car or after I get in the car, and where my knees are going to be. Are they going to be in my cheeks, in my face?"
To be clear, I just do that to make you extra tired so that you don't perform well up against me. So that's the only reason I do that. I have ulterior motives for that.
Are they fantastic cars? Yes, but you know, they're not for me. I would burn it.
You will burn a Miata. Got it.
A track car. I have a
Daily and track.
daily. I just picked up the oddest car. I would call it a car. It's a Ford Maverick. So it's got a 2-liter turbo, an 8-speed transmission. It is so car-like, and
truck.
It's a truck, but it's like a car. It's got independent suspension. It's got pretty good brakes. I'm so comfortable in it. It's by far
daily which one do you track?
daily. I'm a GT3 guy. I would love to have a late model GT3. I still like a 4-liter 6-cylinder versus anything else that you can get your hands on. So that's pretty easy.
Okay, so I would the obvious daily, probably BMW. I've always been a BMW owner. Track, any 911, I think. Burn. The first one that I thought of was Tesla, but you already took that answer. The second one, for whatever reason, I don't know why I have nothing against this car, but it came to mind. A Subaru.
Yeah.
So we'll burn that one. Okay, number 7. Who would you rather battle for one last lap, Mike Moore or your younger self?
Mike Moore.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's because he knows he doesn't stand a chance against his younger self. Is that what you're trying to insinuate over there?
Maybe.
Yeah, that it would be fun, yeah.
All right, number 8. Is there ever a good reason to lift mid-corner?
Well, I mean, if you're getting ready to understeer into a wall, I would suggest that
There are reasons to lift mid-corner, no doubt. And especially with some of the cars I've driven, they require it. So you're hot in, you're lifting, and you're hot out.
Okay.
No doubt about it.
I mean, certainly you don't want to do it too abruptly. Otherwise, you end up doing what I did in turn 1 in Sebring, which almost ended very well. So that's when I learned what the term lift off oversteer meant, and it's not good.
All right, number 9. 2 minutes left. If you had to daily a Miata with eyelashes on the headlights, you've seen those?
Yeah.
Or a slammed BMW with no bump stops, what are you driving?
Oh, I'm driving the BMW because
Well, we already discussed this in one of the previous questions. We already.
I love the car. I mean, if they would
Miata
just
with the eyelashes.
Mike and I could probably get one long enough. You know, we need the L version.
Well, I'm riding shotgun with you because I'm also not riding around in a Miata with eyelashes on the windows, on the headlights rather.
Well, that's another thing.
All right. My favorite question of this segment. You have 5 seconds to offend a Porsche fan. What do you say?
BMWs are way faster. Now, I love that because many times when I'm on track, just in an HPDE, and a guy has a GT4, my BMW actually out-accelerates them. So if they are on a straightaway and they don't enter correctly or, leave the straightaway correctly, I can pass them on the straightaway in an F80 M3.
Right.
So because I have the horsepower, I just don't have the staying power in the corners. So it depends on the guy's experience.
Mike, you have to offend a Porsche owner or fan. What do you say?
I would say, do you take it to the track or did you just buy it to go to Cars and Coffee?
Oh, nice.
Good one.
It's a good one.
Which is sadly too many Porsche.
And
That's
there is one
worthy of a clip.
There is one in Weston on Saturday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe. All right, we'll talk after the show. Maybe
Cars
we'll meet there.
Coffee.
All right, guys. We're going to wrap this up real quick. The next segment, which has to be 30 seconds, is our guest challenge, okay? So we challenge you to challenge 2 of your friends to come on the podcast. So this is your chance to challenge 2 of your friends. You can look right in the camera and tell them, who are you challenging?
I am going to challenge. It's got to be really quick, huh?
Yeah.
I think we need to have your brother on. He was a great guy.
Yes, I agree.
I think my brother would be a great guy. I'm going to go with Mark Schnoerr.
Okay.
And the guy that I like is Chris Howard. Chris Howard is a fast driver. He's got a well-prepared M2, He was the fastest guy at the Autocross on Sunday. I think he would be a good guy because he's only done one HPDE.
And if I'm not mistaken, he did very well. Like even after at the end of just the first session, the first day, if I'm not mistaken, his
I think we signed him off.
His instructor said, yeah, he's good to go solo after his first day.
Nice.
So.
All right, there you go. Challenge has been laid down by Dave. If you're interested in coming onto the podcast, go to the website. It is offtheracinglion.com. Fill out the form and let us know when you want to come in. Thank you, guys. That's all the time that we have.
Thank you, Carlos.
For the episode. It's been a pleasure, Dave, getting to know you even more after 20 years. Remember, everything interesting happens off the racing line. See you guys next time.
Everything interesting happens off the racing line. I took the hard road, I've earned these stripes. The road from dreamer to driver ain't always straight. Kept my head down, fueled by faith. I lost some time but found my name. Pressure made a diamond out of me. I've arrived and I brought receipts. Wrote my truth between the stars and these peaks. This ain't love, I've earned this seat off the racing line, where my story begins.